All right, we're ready to get started then. I guess I would like to go ahead and call the North Sandiam Sewer Authority meeting to order at noon. We'll begin with a roll call real quickly. We'll go Denny Nielsen,
Present.
Emily Schofield,
Here.
Janet Hall, Janet. Did Janet say yes?
She's muted.
She's
Oh.
muted. That's unusual for Janet.
Sorry.
Okay, here she comes. Unmuted her. Oh.
Do a fix on a martini.
All right.
I'm asking.
Janet, are you there? Janet, are you there?
I'm texting her. She might be having some audio issues. Tommy, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, she's texted me yes here, but Janet, you can hear us. Can you,
Okay.
yeah, she can hear us.
So Janet is with us also, and let's see, Ron Evans is ill. We haven't heard from Tony. So we have 4 for a quorum, so we're good to go. I would like to say we go ahead and move on to our budget officer, Laura Conroy, to present the budget.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, good afternoon. Today the board is reviewing its supplemental budget. The board received an additional $80,000 in revenues through an IGA with Marion County after it had adopted its 23-24 supplemental budget. And those $80,000, the board has directed staff to prepare a supplemental budget as follows. The $80,000 has been allocated for legal services under materials and services. Additionally, the board will not be needing an audit this year because it falls under the statutory requirements for expenditures for that. So that $12,000 has been or remains in materials and services. And finally, there's an addition of $8,926 representing a difference between budgeted beginning fund balance and actual beginning fund balance, which has been added to the materials and services budget for a total addition to the materials and services line item of $177,336. The contingency remains unchanged, as does the reserves. The reason the contingency and reserves remain unchanged, despite the board's policy to ensure that 3 months of operating budget are included, is that the additional $80,000 from Marion County was specifically for legal services. And so that isn't part of the operating costs of wouldn't be considered part of the operating costs of the NSSA. So as such, the beginning fund balance changed from 138, which was the budgeted beginning fund balance, to the actual beginning fund balance of 146,926, plus the additional other local revenue of 80,000. Total general fund expenditures 177,336. Sorry, 177,336. Contingency and reserves remain unchanged for total budgeted expenditures of 226,926 and total budgeted revenues of 226,926. Any questions?
No questions, it looks like. Okay. So if nobody has any questions, then I guess I need to officially open the public hearing for but I'm looking at the agenda here for public comment. So I'm going to open the hearing for public comment. Is there anybody in the public that needs to address the board? Is anybody from the public on Zoom? If nobody's in the meeting and nobody from the public has anything, on Zoom, then I guess we'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion at 12:05. Deliberations from the board. Anybody on the board have anything that they would like to discuss, add, questions?
I move we approve the supplemental budget.
Very good. I think that we have an outline of a recommended budget and amendment, and that's to move to amend the budget to increase the beginning fund balance to 146,926 to reflect the actual hearing being beginning fund balance on July 1st, 2023, and to increase the materials and services line item to 177,336 to reflect the addition of the $80,000 from Marion County in restricted funds for legal services and the addition of 8,926 in actual beginning fund balance. That was the proposed motion, I believe.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Emily. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Janet, I assume you're saying aye as well?
Yep.
Thank you very much. So that motion passes. Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? If not, we will move forward. We also have to move to adopt the resolution. And I see we got a 2023 dash number. Do we have the rest of that number, Laura?
You'll need a 2024-01. So,
Okay.
sorry about that, 2024-01.
So we have a recommended motion to adopt resolution number 2023-2024-01, adopting the North Sandiam Sewer Authority budget for the fiscal year 2023 and 2024 as amended. Do we have that motion?
Move it.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. So all in favor, say aye.
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 And so it looks like motion carries. With that, I guess I can go ahead and close the hearing officially. Is there anything else we need to do on this, Laura?
Nope, we can move on to item D, which is, E, which is to appoint the 2024 Budget Sharing Committee.
Very good. Do we have any recommendations for who to nominate? Pull that part up here.
I have expressed my willingness to assume that position this year.
I nominate Denny.
Very good. Any other nominations? Then the nominations will be closed. All in favor of Denny assuming the position, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looks like Denny has the chair.
We need to adopt the budget calendar. Laura, is there anything we need other than what we've already seen on our agenda?
Nope.
Then I would accept a motion to adopt the 2024 budget calendar.
I'll also move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
They need to appoint their committee, or is it sufficient that they have the chair?
The board would appoint the budget committee.
Also the budget committee, okay.
So, sorry, what was that?
So I have our finance director Amber in the room, and so I just was asking her a technical question, which is you've appointed your budget chair and now you need to also appoint your budget committee.
Well, to that point, I have contacted several people. There was a Molly Robertson, I think, in Gates, who did not answer my email. Laura Harris from Idana, who served last year, is willing to serve again this year. And then I spoke with a council colleague, Michelle Tisdale, who has also agreed to serve this year. That leaves one position open. So if anyone has ideas about an individual to fill that slot, we'd be delighted to hear a name.
I'm sure I can twist an arm or two and find somebody to come up with it, but I'd probably better get their approval first.
So then what's our process to do this post-meeting in terms of approval? We've got between now and the 6th of next month, so it's not
That
like
leaves you
we're
one
pushed.
vacancy.
Leaves you one vacancy, but a board member could fill it real quick, right?
No, because you have to have an equal number of board members and members of the public. So you would appoint the people that you have today.
Yep.
And then you can add the other member at the budget meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
That's great, thank you. So we need 4?
I don't know who this board, I'm sorry.
Right now there are 6.
So you need equal numbers, 6 and 6.
That isn't the way it worked last year. We had 3 people last year.
I don't
I think
know
it's
if the
3.
board has, let me say it this way. I don't know if this particular board has set a separate number for the budget committee that is different than the total membership. Because without an additional rule, the total membership is the count for the equal number.
Thank you.
Last year we did 3 and 3. So assuming that
3
we,
and 3.
3 board members and 3 members of the community.
Oh,
So last year it was Chair Kirsch, now Chair Kirsch, Brian Gander and Ron Evans, and then it was Laura, Molly, and the other person whose name so we need you and 2 other board members, and then 1 more person.
okay.
So
Okay. So I will work on getting that 3rd citizen involvement, if you would like me to, and then I think, do we have our 3 board members?
if Emily and Janet are willing to serve, then yes, or you,
Then I don't have to?
or you can flip a coin for it.
I think Ron mentioned wanting to be on that.
He did, but he also indicated that he was interested in helping staff create the budget. And
Yes.
he cannot review and scrutinize the budget and prepare it, just a
Okay.
controlled issue. So he has, which is why he withdrew his interest to be the chair and asked and reached out to Denny to ask if he would be interested. So Ron is going to assist in the preparation of the budget and therefore cannot be on the budget committee.
What time on the 6th are you planning this meeting?
Noon. It'll be a Zoom meeting again.
I can do noon on the 6th.
Okay,
And it won't last long. If last
Yeah, I
year
can't
was
go over, I
sitting-
can't go past 1 o'clock on that day, but I can do noon to 1.
last year I think it was 18 minutes.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Thank you,
Thank you.
Emily. Oh,
All right, so I don't have to. That's great. I just have to find somebody to fill the 1 empty seat from citizen, right?
right, and they can be a family member, but they do need to reside in, or be electable, unelectable, in one of the communities.
Very good. We can do that. Okay.
So I think we need a motion to appoint the committee.
The ones that are already, that because we don't have that sixth person yet, right? So just to appoint the 5.
Yes.
I will move to appoint the 5 members that have been identified so far with a 6th to follow.
Second.
So is Denny running this or am I running this one? I don't
I just,
know.
that was
You're-
running through my
You're meeting chair.
thinly populated skull.
So I'm the immediate chair then. So, okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. What else is on our agenda?
Well, we now will turn it over for item G, with chair's permission, and, Mr. Brooks will explain the revised connection ordinance. Hi, Tommy.
Okay,
Hello.
very good.
And sounds like everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Thanks for having me back. The item that you have now is an extension of the discussion that we had at your last board meeting, and the board's effort to develop some sort of template that can be used by other cities to require and govern the use of the sewer the sewer collection system. So you were presented last time with kind of a discussion draft. We took a lot of input from the board at that time. Laura helped me run it by some certified smart people on the engineering side to get some input. And what's back to you is a slightly revised version of that template ordinance. I think the same, I don't want to walk through the whole staff report. It just kind of lays it out in terms of what each of the sections do. That's more hopefully will be useful for a city that then shops this around internally to draft it for themselves. So I think what I wanted to go over today was just a couple things. One, the same caveat that this document itself is not an ordinance. This is a kind of a model ordinance that another city can use. And it's a starting point. And the idea, as it was instructed to your staff and to me, was to come up with something that would be consistent across multiple cities if we all adopted this, or if they all adopted it. So really your approval of it is not to impose any requirements. It's just an approval for each of the member cities to then go see if they want to use it or not. While we put some thought into this and it's pretty complete, there are a lot of decisions that a city is going to have to make if they use this. A lot of it needs to be informed by the actual engineering of the facility. A lot of it is going to be informed by what the actual construction of the collection system is going to look like when it gets done and who pays for that. There's a need. So for example, if you're going to have a program that pays for the connections, that really needs to be fleshed out. There's a placeholder in this model ordinance for that, but there's a lot of work that needs to go into that. And so I just kind of caution everyone as you do go use this, make sure you have the staff and consultants at hand to really beef it up and make it kind of an enforceable, complete ordinance. The other, I guess, brief things that I wanted to go over was just sort of the feedback and kind of how it's folded in here. A lot of the discussion at the last meeting, it wasn't necessarily about this ordinance, but kind of the whole program that's being put together. So there were some questions that were raised, for example, about, let's see, what was a good one? Whether or not there would be a waiver, for example, if there was a financial hardship. I gave that some more thought. I really think the financial relief component of anything really doesn't belong in this kind of ordinance. That belongs in a separate either rate making ordinance or other community program where you have ratepayer relief. But it's pretty typical that the that the connection be be required to the system, and that the connection be the connection. And if there's any affordability issues, that can happen separately outside of this construct. I think that's, can you just double check my notes? Sorry. There was this goes back to sort of how we're going to tailor, or how each city should tailor this. One of the big discussions was, or it wasn't a big discussion, but one of the big points raised in the discussion was, whether or not property owners could connect to the system and maybe have a septic system at the same time for a period of time, either as a backup or something else. To me, that's an engineering issue that really depends on what's being constructed for the connection, who's going to pay for it, if it needs to look one way or the other. Giving property owners the ability to have both systems may or may not make sense, and that really is an engineering question. So again, I didn't want to make it part of the template ordinance, but I just sort of highlighted that in the staff report and in the notes, so that it's something each city can think through. Other than that, again, it's just do the steady drumbeat of this is the first step in a lot of steps. Hopefully it gets everyone started in the way that they need to get it started. And with that, I can open it up to questions now that you've had a little bit of time to steep in it, or any other comments you might have.
Tommy, one of the things Ron Evans had brought up was, where does the sewer authority or whoever take ownership of it, even at the city? So ownership of this system, is it at the property line? But what if there's a component that's within the property line that it's like a pump, basically what Ron was talking about?
Yeah. So that's incorporated in here too, but more as a question for the specific city. So the vast majority, the typical way to set this up is that the city would only own the facilities up to the property line. Where we see exceptions to that are, if there's a facility that maybe is shared between multiple properties and you've got to have it structured outside of the norm a little bit, or if it's like a transmission type facility that's just running through a property and not actually serving it. If it's the service line to that property, I think the starting point should be the city owns it up to the property line. Now, there's a placeholder in here where as the city is building the connection facilities, they can build that in if they want to change that default mode and say, okay, we're gonna own this pump, even though it's on the private side of the property, for whatever reason, and that's a policy decision. This template allows the city to build that in, with the caution that you got to make sure you have easement rights for that. You got to make sure you have a clear understanding about what it means to maintain it. This is not my legal take on this. This is more my policy take. Is I don't know that it makes that it's worth it, and that's why each city should really look into it. Because if part of it is to take the burden off the property owner, you're already doing that by getting rid of the septic tank. I mean, the property owners right now have the obligation to maintain their septic system. So there's some component that they're already doing. You're just shifting it from the septic system to whatever the connection is to the sewer collection system. And so I don't know that there's going to be a huge difference in the burden on properties. But that's just as a kind of a blanket observation. And I think each city should then go look and see, no, there really is a difference here, and we really ought to own this facility. They can do that, but I don't think it should be part of the template. It should be one of the things that's tailored.
Well, currently Mill City has the STEG system, so we own a tank on the private property, and we own the tank and everything beyond it. So, but before the tank is the property owners. Now, I won't say frequently, but sometimes the inlet baffle on those tanks become plugged, and our public works people have to go and pop open the tank and unplug the thing. So if we made that the owner of if we had the city stop being the owner of it, the individual citizens wouldn't know how to do that, or want to be burdened with that either. So that's why I think the city should probably maintain ownership of those tanks, at least in Mill City's situation.
Yeah, and that, I think that's a great example of where that analysis depends on what that facility is. So if there's a reason for that kind of facility that it really doesn't make sense for the private property owner to own it and operate it, then by all means, have the city take ownership of that. But from a starting point, I think that analysis needs to be done as opposed to trying to guess at this point which of those facilities are in and which are out.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions. Anybody else have any questions?
My questions have been answered.
Okay, very good. So moving forward, Laura, do we need to adopt this as a template for us, or where do we go from here?
Yeah, a motion to adopt this as a template would be helpful, and then after that, a recommendation that Gates and any other city present it to city council is helpful. And I'm looking, I just realized, obviously the other cities would not be ready to do that, but Gates certainly, and then I have a few comments after that. So a motion to adopt would be great.
I'll move to adopt the NSSA model sanitary sewer connection ordinance as a model.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And then a
Motion-
discussion, sorry.
Motion carries.
So then a discussion item and I didn't put this on your agenda, Chair, just because wasn't sure if we were going to be adopting the template ordinance or not for recommendation. These types of ordinances do require some legal support and guidance to implement, as both Jim McGehee and Tommy explained at your last meeting. I have connected with the county, with Chris Epley, about whether the NSSA could direct some of its 80,000 in legal services to cover cost for cities that want to implement this ordinance. And I have a note from him that that's appropriate and he's willing to do that. And so if the board chooses, the board could at this time just discuss whether it wanted to, I don't need a motion, I just need a discussion, whether it was okay with your legal services fund being used to compensate attorneys to assist, in this case, Gates, with the adoption of their ordinance. That ordinance is going to need some tailoring for Gates. That way Gates wouldn't have to use its general fund for that purpose.
I say for the purpose of getting this collection system and the whole sewer system in, I think that Gates needs the assistance. As you know, this is an unexpected expense for them. So I think the burden of it should be put on the sewer authority or our sewer authority legal funds. So I would be in favor of using the money for Gates's assistance in getting this adopted.
And I agree with Tim.
As do I, Denny.
Do we still have Janet?
No, in
No.
fact, we need to text her because she dropped off before the vote on the list.
On the committee?
No, she had
She was-
messaged that she's having Zoom connection issues.
I felt like she was there for the committee probably, but I know for sure she wasn't there on the draft connection ordinance vote because I left a note.
Okay. All right.
I think so.
Okay, so we're just doing a little bit of housekeeping here. It sounds like
Sure.
board member Paul may have had some connection issues and so was not able to vote on item G. Your vote on that is helpful. It's not legally problematic if we don't have quorum on that. It's helpful that you do have a vote. So but I will ask Janet what her vote is on that. Okay. so she is not able to weigh in on the use of legal services, but I have clear directions from the three members that are here that, we can do that. So I will proceed as, with that. And then for Gates, for Emily, what you'll need to do now is, work with Tracy to reach out to whoever you choose. You should be able to either work with Cable Houston or LG because you have a common interest with them. You're not adverse to the NSSA. And so, Tommy and Cable Houston have already signaled that they're available to assist. But of course, it's your choice who you choose to engage as counsel. Jim McGehee has said that he just doesn't feel like he can represent you because you will be an adverse, technically adverse, with Mill City, as you build this system together. So any questions about that, Emily?
Did you say that Cable Houston can be hired by the city of Gates to help
Yes.
with that?
Yes.
Okay. No, I don't have questions.
Okay.
I can reach out to Tracy.
Okay, Chair, that's everything that I have for your business agenda.
Good. I still got time to go eat a little bit of lunch then. So I would like to go ahead then and declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye now. Thanks, Danny.
Is the recording stopped?